Morning, everyone. My name's Claire. I'm the Assistant Curator of Education here at the Zimmerli Art Museum. And I've got my friend Yasmin here with me, who's going to be leading today's pop art inspired activity. So we thought it would be sort of, a fun way to kick off, moving toward warmer, sunnier days, playing with some colors and some fun shapes. And we wanted to just take a quick look at some pop art works from our collection at the museum. So I'm going to share my screen and just give you a little sneak peek of, some of the possibilities that can be put to use when you are making your own project today. So this is one of our stellar pieces from the collection. It's an Andy Warhol. And Andy Warhol was really famous for making pop art a big important thing. So this is his Brooklyn Bridge, and you can see that Andy Warhol used a bunch of different colors. So you have the blue and the yellow here, which go nicely together, and this hot pink and sort of a teal green color. So it really helps to make the image of the bridge pop out. So it's a very lively, exciting, energetic print that he made. So that's something you can think about when you're considering what colors you want to use for your drawings today. This next image is by an artist named Eduardo Palozzi, and I haven't seen it in person. It's another print on, so it's a screen print on paper, but I thought that it was a fun work, kind of like in the vein of Andy Warhol, because you have repeated shapes or repeated ideas. So you have this woman's face here 4 different times, and she's making 4 expressions, and he's using complementary colors. So you have the blue background and the orange faces. And then down here, with the pink and black sort of offset by this green background, because pink or red and green are complementary colors. So they're opposite on the color wheel. So they go together well. And then down here, it's just a combination of these really fun colors, blue, orange, green, purple, pink. And it's just a very lively, happy, sort of funny piece. So you can feel free to add something funny into the drawing that you make. You can have fun with it. Art doesn't have to be serious. You can play with colors and you can play with shapes. This is another work that we have, and it was on view in the museum for quite some time on one of our front lobby walls. It's called Hexagonal Wall. And this is sort of a more simple version of what Andy Warhol was doing with repeating all of the different shapes that he used to use, for example, the Campbell's soup can. But this is just some just hexagonal shapes, so some hexagons that have all of these lines through them here. You can see a little bit. And Reginald Neal, the artist, is just playing here with different color combinations and seeing what makes the shapes pop and what colors work well together. And I think even what colors sort of, fight with each other a little bit, colors that you might not necessarily think to put together. So this is a pretty big, but flat sculpture if you were to have seen it in the museum. And, hopefully you'll be able to see it again one day. And this next work by Yayoi Kusama, it's not part of the museum's collection. We got this image off of the website from the Minneapolis Institute of Art. This is a Japanese artist, and Kusama, she's extremely well known for her sculptural works, her paintings, and for creating these really big rooms with lots of 3D shapes and different things you can experience when you're in the rooms, but she uses polka dots a lot. She uses crazy colors, and it really sort of makes a whole environment for you. So pop art is sort of moving off of the wall in a way and just sort of becoming your whole space. So she's really good at playing with colors and energy and really making her works of art come alive. So that might be something to keep in mind too when you're working today. You know, what can you do to make your work really look, you know, like it's vibrating, like it's alive? And we just put together a few sample projects for you to take a look at. So you can do something as simple as, as you know, what I did here with crayons and just using complementary colors and some simple shapes or markers. You can go a little crazy like we did with the cupcakes and the light bulbs here, you know, making a really fun shape, or, you know, drawing an object that you really like. You can even, you know, draw the same shape, you know, a few times over and cut it out and, you know, color it and paste it onto a background. If you want to take this in more of a collage direction, you know, up to you. So I hope that you will enjoy the project, and I'll turn it over to Yasmin now to get us started on some color wheel exploration, and then we'll jump into drawing. So, Yasmin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yasmin, and before we start on our art activity, I wanted to talk a little bit about this color wheel. The link that I provided does have a similar version to this, and it does go into some more detail about what I'm going to be talking about today. But hopefully some of you are already somewhat familiar with what this looks like and sort of what I'm about to say. So this color wheel has obviously a lot of different colors, but the cool thing about it is that it has, first of all, our primary colors, which are red, blue, and yellow. So you see them here, red, blue, and yellow. We also have secondary colors. Secondary colors are colors that are made using our primary colors. So for example, if you mix red and yellow, you get orange. So therefore, orange would be a secondary color. A hue is the name of a color. So red is a hue. Trying to think of the other thing. Oh, analogous color schemes. Analogous color schemes are when you use 2 or 4 colors that are sitting next to each other. So this is a possibility for one of the art projects that we're about to do. If you pick whatever object you want to draw and you want to use an analogous color scheme, you would pick 2, maybe 3 colors that are sitting right next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, I could pick red, orange, red, and red, violet, and only use those 3 colors when I'm representing the object that I chose. An alternative would be a complementary color. And I'm going to show you more of this when I go into the drawing that I did and the drawing that I will do again today. Complementary colors are opposites on the color wheel. So for example, you have red and green, and they're opposite each other on the color wheel. Therefore, they are complementary colors. So let me switch over to my drawing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Before we do, actually, let's talk materials. This is the drawing that I made the other day, and I'm using just a regular paper notepad, and I have more paper on here. If you have any sort of paper, it doesn't have to be white. It could be any construction paper, any color that you choose. White, I think, is easier because then you can build the colors that you want on it. So if you have markers, it'll be easier to show on that paper. I have a pencil, so I can draw out what I'm going to draw. In this case, it was light bulbs. Today, I'm thinking cupcakes. I will be drawing my cupcakes with my pencil. And I have just these markers to color it in, but you can use any sort of coloring material that you have at home, colored pencils, any marker, crayons, pastels, but whatever is easier for you and that you have at home can definitely be used in this project. So without further ado, I'm going to start flipping over to my workstation. Hang on 1 second, please.
And I have spotlighted Yasmin's workstation, so that way it should be the biggest thing that you see on your screen. So if you go to view and hit speaker view, it will just show her workstation. So in case you needed to see it bigger and weren't quite sure how.
So here is, as everyone can see, this is the light bulb pop art drawing that I did prior to this class. And I tried to choose complementary colors for the most part. So for example, in this one right here, I used purple and yellow. And if we pull our color wheel, violet and yellow are opposites on the color wheel. So these are complementary colors. I can also choose analogous colors, and we'll get to that. But so let's talk about how we're going to get started here. So I chose to do my light bulb 6 different times in 6 different colors. You can choose to do 1, you can do as many variations of that. You could do 4, you could do 6, or you could even do more if you wanted. I am going to be doing cupcakes, and I'm going to aim for doing 6. Hopefully time will be on my side for this. So I started with a new piece of paper. I have my pencil in hand. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this piece of paper into 6 windows, if you will, to sort of designate which area is going to be for which cupcake. So does not have to be precise, as I did not bring a ruler today. So I'm just going to eyeball these lines. If you have a ruler and you want to use it, that would definitely work. But see, I broke up my 1 piece of paper into 6 little areas for cupcakes. And I'm just going to start by sketching out a rough shape of a cupcake. And you can choose any sort of object or shape that you wanted to draw. I just chose something that's very simple and I can sort of just draw really easily, but it'll look really cool. And maybe I really wanted cupcakes. Definitely a possibility. So I'm going to sketch that out right now. And that'll take a few minutes, so take your time, don't rush through it. If I'm a little bit further ahead in the project than any of you, feel free to stop, slow me down, ask me a question. If you need to refer to a color wheel, the link is in the chat, and that one does have one there for you. I have one here next to my workstation, so I can reference it when I need to.
Does anybody want to share what kind of shape they chose to draw? You can type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself, whichever you
my shape is a diamond.
That's
a diamond.
awesome.
Excellent choice.
I'm
did a
excited to
diamond
see how
on
that
my-
turns out.
Yeah, I did a diamond on my first one and it was nice to draw. Oh, we've got another cupcake.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Cupcake is a theme today. I like it.
Some hearts. I feel like after this program, I'm going to need to go find a cupcake somewhere.
I think that sounds great. I think I will also be finding one as well. If anyone can see I hope everyone can see my drawing. My cupcakes are not all the same size. They vary. Some of them are a little bit larger. Some of them have a little more icing on them than others. And that's totally fine. The goal of this project is not necessarily to repeat your figure or your object perfectly. It's more going to be geared towards getting those colors and thinking about the color wheel. So don't stress too much about making it 100% identical. So those are my figures for now. And now I'm going to decide what colors I'm going to represent. So I want to start with a complementary set. So I'm going to start top left. You do not have to start on the top left. You can start on any of them. And I think I'm gonna do, this is a tough choice. I think I'm gonna do orange and blue. So what I do when I do that is I can start with the background or I can start with my cupcake. It doesn't matter, whichever. Ooh, I hear someone is making tulips. That's awesome. Very spring. I love it.
I like that
Spring
idea
is-
too.
Spring is hopefully going to be here soon. So I'm going to start with my background, but you do not have to start with that. You can definitely start with whatever it is that you drew. And I'm going to be coloring in my background. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but I can always go back and see if I missed a spot or I want to color it in a little bit darker. Now, if for the people who are doing, for example, a cupcake, I'm probably going to be doing 2 different colors, one for the icing and one for the cake part, or for if it's in a little, one of those little cupcake holders. So I'm going to be doing 2 different colors. What I was thinking in order to keep with my complementary color trend is I was going to do 2 different shades of orange, one for the icing and one for the cake part. That way it's still sort of staying true to complementary colors and it'll hopefully achieve the same effect. You do not have to do that. You can try to do maybe like a completely different unrelated color. That's definitely an option. But let's see what that's going to look like on mine. So I'm going to pick my 2 oranges first. Here's one, and let's see, this is more or less an orange. So I'm going to do the darker orange for the icing.
The great thing about this project is, like Yasmin said, you can do complementary colors, analogous, whatever you want to draw from with the color wheel. But if you would rather just pick some colors that you like and, want to put them together, that's fine too.
That's definitely an option.
Yeah, art is all about, being creative and doing what works for you. So, have fun with it. If you want to pick colors that you think clash, colors that you don't think go well together, and just sort of be funny with it like that, you're welcome to. If you want to, just use your favorite colors, that works too. And, you can make as many spaces for color as you want. So whatever works for you. We're excited to hopefully at the end see what you've come up with.
Absolutely. So I just used 2 different orange markers. It did not come out that different on my paper, unfortunately. But you kind of get a feeling for the complementary colors that I'm using. I want to add a little something to it before I move on to the next one. So I think I'm going to do some sprinkles on my cupcake. So I'm choosing 2 different colors for sprinkles. And I'm just going to add some sprinkles on here, just so everyone knows it's a cupcake. And I feel like sprinkles would represent that. And there we go. I know it's a little rough, but I'm hoping to get through a couple to sort of show you the variations that we can do. And I'm going to do analogous colors next, just to demonstrate what that would look like for everyone. And for that, I think I'm going to choose violet, red, violet, and red. Let me find the appropriate colors in here. And I like to lay my colors out before I start, just so I can sort of reference back to them. I have a huge it's like a box full of markers, so I don't want to confuse which colors I chose. So I'm just going to pull these 3 out and set them next to my paper so I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to start with the cupcake this time as opposed to the background, just to change it up. So this is the analogous color scheme for this cupcake. And again, if you have any questions about analogous color schemes, complementary color schemes, anything, feel free to ask us. We're more than happy to help you.
Well,
Either
an
if you-
analogous just means that they're next to each other on the color wheel.
Yes.
So, yeah, on an expanded color wheel, you can sort of see, you know, violet, and red.
Exactly.
And violet is just the fancy actual art name for purple.
Yes. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yes.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so I know like on my color wheel, I didn't have, you know, the red, violet, the red, orange. I just did, you know, red, blue, and yellow, and purple, green, and orange. So, you know, if you sort of wanted to do, you know, analogous colors on a smaller color wheel, you know, you could do red, violet, and blue. You could do blue, green, and yellow, green, yellow, and orange, or yellow, red, and orange. So if you were to do that, it would sort of be like using warm colors, which is like your reds and your oranges, or you could use cool colors, which is more, you know, green, blue, purple. So warm and cool is a way you can divide your colors as well.
Yes. And I can, if anyone needs, I can also show my color wheel in case they want to reference that as well. Right now I'm doing these 3 top colors, the violet, violet, and red. And I'm not doing them in any particular order. I'm just acknowledging that I will be using those 3 in this cupcake. My color wheel also, in case anyone wonders, does sort of try to break up warm colors versus cool colors. And most of the ones that I've seen online do something similar. So that's definitely something to think about if you are trying to do analogous colors, if you wanted to do it that way. So you see how close sort of in relation to one another these 2 colors are. They're not nearly as stark of a contrast as the blue and the oranges from my previous drawing.
Can I share my drawing?
Absolutely. That looks so cool. I love the colors you chose. I love the red and green. Those are definitely great complementary colors.
Wow.
And the yellow and violet, those are great
So
too.
that the purple in the south, and I tried the red to make it, and you can't get the purpleness.
You did a great job. I love it. And you can really tell that you understand what you're doing with your colors. Wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. So I'm working on my next color for this set. If anyone is done and they want to try a different one, they're more than welcome to do that. I'm sure there are plenty of colors out there to try in terms of the color wheel.
Yeah, this, I know, you know, we all work at different paces. So if you, I mean, we're gonna be here, you know, for all 6 of our cupcakes, but you know, if you finish early and want to head out, you're more than welcome to. You know, if you want to stay till we're done coloring and, you know, keep making more of your own drawings, that's cool too. So whatever works for you, but don't feel like you have to, you know, be working at the same pace that Yasmin is. It's everyone works at a different pace. So it's up to you.
Exactly. And just to sort of check in on the analogous color scheme I have going on here. If everyone sees, it's sort of all sort of blends together because they're so close on the color wheel. So it's, especially the more I try to fill in next to each other, like the colors, you can see that they're sort of almost blending together a little bit because they aren't contrasting colors. So they don't make each other sort of pop off the page. They blend a little bit together. Makes it a little hard to see what the shape is after a while, but we all know it's cupcakes. So I am also going to add sprinkles to this one, hopefully to help distinguish it as a cupcake, because it is a little difficult to sort of make out what the shape is. I don't know if everyone can see it. So if you're comparing these two, one of them is more obviously clear to note that it is a cupcake. And I'm going to do blue sprinkles because it would be another similar color on the color wheel. Okay. Awesome. And for the next one, I'm going to go back to complementary colors. I think I'm going to try to do some sort of pattern with what color scheme I choose. And I'm going to be doing, let's see, red and green. I think red and green would be cool. So I'm going to choose my colors. There's my green. And here is my red. So I'm going to start with the background, and I think I'm going to do a green background. I think the last time we had an art together was when we had that bunch of snow. And we definitely don't have that bunch of snow anymore, at least for anyone on the Northeast. I hope everyone enjoyed it while it was here. I definitely did.
I loved it, but it's funny now that I can see the grass in my backyard. I mean, it's just so funny to look at, and it also looks like it's, you know, been through something. It's been covered with the snow for so long. But the daffodils are starting to peek out, so that's been fun to watch.
Yeah, hopefully. I think we're expected to get some pretty warm days next week, I heard.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm actually going to pick a different similar red just to have one for the icing and one for the cake part. So let's see. We are, I think, expecting one warm day next week, although I think my forecast did tell me one more day of snow, and I was equal parts excited and not excited.
Yeah, March is always tricky. You never quite know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Let's see. So as you can see, it's definitely more striking with this color scheme than the analogous color scheme. You can definitely, it stands out a lot more from the green. kind of like if we refer back to the first one, it's definitely a little easier to see. And I'm gonna keep adding sprinkles to them. And I think this darker color would be a good sprinkle color.
And if anybody would like to email me their final picture, I'll put my email in the chat. So you're welcome to, send us what you've come up with. If you don't want to share on camera, that's totally fine. We'd love to see it.
Absolutely. And as I've been coming up with what we're doing with my project, I think I'm going to keep this theme on the bottom as well. So I'm going to do complementary color scheme, analogous color scheme, and then another complementary color scheme. That way it's sort of, there's a trend, there's a pattern to my project. And I'm thinking of what my next color scheme is going to be. I'm going to use yellow for something. Yellow and purple. And I'll pick 2 different purples for the cupcake. And I'll do the background first. So looking back at my color wheel, I chose yellow, and then I'm trying to do a complementary color scheme. So I'm going to look to violet as my complementary color. If anyone wants to share what materials they're using too, like I'm using markers, but I know probably not everyone is using markers. You can just type it in the chat or.
Oh, Hunter, that looks great.
Oh, wow. I love that.
We used the color wheel on Mom's phone. So I made one like this, one like this, one like this, and one like this.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
awesome.
They look very fancy. I like all the different frostings you chose.
Agreed.
I mixed blue and yellow to make the green.
Very smart. You really understand this. That's excellent.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed seeing that. Are you going to be working on another one, or are you think you're finished with your project?
I think I'm done with my project, but I'm going
Your first animation. So you remember the animation we did like last week? That was, your storyboard, the first scene.
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
I am going to, I'm almost done with it, but I am also going to color the background in.
Gotcha.
Perfect
That's a good
idea.
idea. Agreed. I can't wait to see it with the background colored in.
Yes, me too. I bet it'll look great.
By the way, everyone, that is a great idea to pull up, if you have a grown-up with you, to pull up a color wheel, perhaps on their phone if you can, to have it next to you to reference. I was able to print mine out prior, and I know that might not be a possibility for everyone right now, obviously, but it's a great resource to use while you're doing this if you can. But if not, feel free to ask one of us, hey, what's the complementary color of this color? And we can definitely help you. And Hannah, thank you for letting us know what materials you're using, markers and crayons. I love it.
I like those little emojis you put in the chat. I don't know how you did that, but that's really cool. Very fun.
So I think I'm gonna have to admit that this cupcake is the one that looks the best for me so far. Like, if I walked into a cupcake shop and they had this cupcake, I would have to try it. This purple one.
It does look pretty yummy. Like the icing is so
you.
fluffy.
It does look really good. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna need to buy cupcakes today now. And thinking of what color sprinkles to add on top. I think I'll do like a blue green. Hopefully it shows up. It's a little, that's the downside of markers of using a somewhat darker color. It doesn't show as well if you put something on top of it. The layering, it's not ideal. You can barely see my sprinkles, but I know they're there, it's fine. It'll be great. So in keeping with my trend, I'm gonna now choose 3 analogous colors for my middle panel. And let me see which ones I'm going to choose. So let me pull out my color wheel. I think I'm gonna do green, green, and blue. Yes, I'm gonna do that. So let me pull out my colors, green, green, and blue. Okay, and again, it'll probably have a similar effect to what you've seen so far, where the complementary colors, there's a really high level of contrast. And this one, very low contrast, kind of hard to make out what the shape is. It's probably going to be a similar situation. So let's test it out. What was that? Oh, did someone have a, oh, you're
Wow.
showing, wow.
Wonderful job, Hannah.
I love all the hearts.
Thank you.
They're really fun.
That's awesome.
It kind of looks like they're all like bouncing around too, which I really like. Great job.
I love it. Are you gonna work on another one? No, that's okay. I understand, but that looks great. I loved, thank you for sharing what you drew. My background is almost done for this one. And I'm going to start on the cupcake. I think I'm going to do blue icing. I think because of the blue-green that I chose for this background, it will show up a little bit better than the purples, but it's still not going to have the same contrast effect that the other ones had, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, and now I have to pick the sprinkle color. So I learned a little bit from my lesson in the purple cupcake that a not too dark color doesn't show up on something as dark as that dark purple. So I'm going to try a dark gray. I know that's not the most common of colors for sprinkles. However, I think, oh yeah, it'll show up a little bit better. One more. There we go. Cool. So this actually came out a lot more readable than this one. I think just the colors that I chose still allowed for there to be some contrast. And I think I have a final one to choose. And I'm going to do complementary colors again. Let me pull out my color wheel. And I'm trying to think of colors I haven't used yet.
Oh, Hannah, that's great. Very nice
fun.
job.
That looks awesome.
And technically, black and white are opposite. You know,
That's
if you're
true.
thinking about not so much colors, but light and dark. So great job.
I didn't finish it, but I still gonna color it.
Okay.
Well, we can't wait to see it when it is finished. I'm excited. Let's see. Yellow, green. I think I'm going to do yellow, green, and red, violet for my complementary colors. Oh, and I need another one, I guess, for my 2 cupcake parts. Let's see. Maybe this one. Yeah. Okay. Oh, actually, I'm going to do yellow. I don't think I've used enough yellow today. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to use the red violet for my background. Okay, and now I'm going to use my yellow, green, and yellow for my cupcake. Let's see. I think I'm going to do yellow for the icing. I think it would be really fun to almost try to see what flavors these would be if these were real cupcakes. For anyone who drew cupcakes. Let's see. And the yellow green. Ooh. I really like the contrast of this yellow green to this purple. I think it looks really cool. Ooh.
I like that contrast too. It's not something I would have thought that would have, you know, ever come into my mind.
Yeah,
It looks like maybe like a lemon meringue cupcake almost.
I agree. I
Something
agree.
like that.
but like with a Halloween theme, because the purple and that yellow green, I don't know,
Yeah,
remind me of
that's true.
Halloween.
That's true.
Okay, now I have to pick a color for the sprinkles. I feel like this is always one of the hardest parts for me. Let's see. Blue. Blue. Let's see if it'll look appealing. Yeah. Okay. So we do still have some time, but I did finish this work. I can try to do another one.
I don't think you have to. I think this looks great, and it really gives a sense of, what we were going for with the project. Yeah, so I think it's perfect. We might end up just sort of wrapping up a little bit early, which is fine. And if anyone is interested in doing this project again or checking out some other Art Together work, Art Together projects, the instructions are on our Zimmerli at Home webpage. So if you go to the Zimmerli website, you can find them. If you can access them from there. So I just put up the instructions for today's project. So you're welcome to, make more of this or make more of any other project we've done over this past year.